Hey everybody, it's Toren here, Express Evangelist, Adobe enthusiast, self-taught illustrator. You're playing around in Adobe Illustrator, just having a blast. So today we're going to do a little bit of branding. I've been workshopping a non-for-profit where I pair artist friends of mine with aspiring apparel brand designers or clothiers to kind of help them develop their own e-commerce brand from ideation all the way to launching their first campaign. The only thing is, I haven't really asked any of my designer friends if they will help me out or not. And so I like to kind of go to people with a brand kind of already formulated. Like I hate showing up empty-handed. And so if I'm going to ask somebody something, I should have like a brand kit and like, in hand to just kind of demonstrate that I'm serious about this. Because if you know me at all, I have a lot of ideas, like probably too many, and the ones that kind of fall to the wayside are unfortunately too frequent. So, like to really kind of sell it to my friends, I'm serious about this. I want to have as many assets ready to go as possible, and so we're going to start Illustrator, just kind of demonstrating my approach to developing a brand asset kit. When I started teaching myself in Illustrator, I remember the very first thing I like looked up was like, what are these little dots all over the place? And I looked up like what transforming an object was. I thought I was going to hear some boop beeps. Absolutely not the thing that happened. But after 2 hours of in Illustrator, the very first thing I taught myself was how to do this. And my logos never changed. So you can go a long way in Illustrator, and it's actually easier now than ever with all the text to vector options that you have right at your disposal. And we're going to play around a little bit with AI, and I'll show you guys some things that I've been learning since I've been playing around with all the text to vector prompts. The brand that I'm trying to start is Future Design Studio, or the non-for-profit rather. This logo and this template needs a lot of work. So I've been traveling all over the place, just like trying to get some ideas from wherever it is. I've been going to do like a Create Now pop-up event or just like a design event, just kind of get some feedback. And one thing that I've been super into lately, if we look at this artboard, is I've been watching, like my daughter just turned 2. We've been watching a lot of Mickey Mouse lately, but like not the Mickey Mouse who you invite into your house at 2 o'clock in the morning to borrow your car. We've been watching like creepy old, like the first version of Mickey Mouse, which is now I think fair use under like copyright laws. And so I've had that like rubber hose, I think is the art style that they call it. I've had a lot of that on the mind lately. So I went to Adobe Stock. I found some logos or some vector art that really spoke to me. It's still in that same like 1930s style, and I wanted to use that as a prompt because I don't know if you know this. If we go over to the properties panel, we're going to get a lot of pop-ups, so pardon me for that. But if you want to, not only can you do like text to vector using the AI or Firefly, you can actually give it like a style prompt and like match a style. And so that's what we're going to do here with this guy. I'm going to select this green object that I already have, and I'm going to pick a style from a reference over here on the right-hand panel, and I'm going to use the eyedropper tool on this fellow right here, just because the design is so cool. And if I go over to, let's see, I have to move my little icons. Yeah, so if I go to subject to make sure that it's going to actually come up with not like a pattern or an icon, but actually like a little character, I can set the number of colors I want. So I'm going to go black and white. I'm going to select 2 colors just to make sure. Now you can specify colors and we'll do that in a bit, but I want to just make sure that we have this selected as is for right now. And then I'm going to give it a prompt. And so we go down to the prompt panel, and I already have one written out. This one's a little verbose, so bear with me. So mascot planet Earth, skateboarding with a camera and sunglasses, old animation. Okay, so we'll see what this does once I hit enter. I'm just fascinated that this actually works because not only does it come up with like a character, it has all like the little anchor points, so you can play around and edit it. Like I just think that that's remarkable that it can do that, and I've been wondering how, but nobody will tell me, probably because if I knew, I would tell everybody out of sheer pride. So yeah, corporate secrets. I'm probably like the worst person to know. Okay, let me see here. So that's complex. Let's go with minimal because I always forget to set the level of detail. Oh, we've got a few options actually. Look at this dude. I'm always like, I'm so tickled by how cute these little options are. I'm a big fan of this. And what's the third option? Because if you haven't played around with this yet in Illustrator, not only does it give you like a single option. It gives you a few. I think this dude is super cute. This dude is pretty cute, but I think this is our guy. I think this is our guy. So I'm gonna select this one. Awesome. And so we've got this option ready to go. We're gonna keep this and we're gonna pop over to a different artboard. And so yeah, once I've got the icon is one I like. Or do we want to, you know what? Let's go back. Let's give one more spin of the wheel just to make sure. I'm pretty sure that this is our guy, but let's generate a few more just to see. I can be pretty quick with liking something and be like, no, that's the one. And then later on, I'll be like, oh man, I wish I'd given myself a few more options to play with. So just to try to avoid that pitfall of my personality type, I'll give myself a few. Oh no, this dude looks like he should be helping me brush my teeth or something. I can just see him on the end of a toothbrush, just like being like, hey man, don't forget the floss, bro. Did I see three colors here? No, I guess it's technically two. It's black and white. I can live with it. But yeah, let's go with, man, this guy's so cute. Oh no. But he's not holding the camera. Does that count? I think I still like buddy number two. I think this is our guy. Okay, we know. Now I know. This is our guy. Um, let's pop over to the other artboard. I'm gonna select this. And instead of having a subject, we're gonna make a pattern. And this is something that I think is so cool because you can select your number of colors. I'm going to select the actual colors that we use. So I'm going to pop over to the specified colors. And I've been working out of like a color set lately. When I first started like my own little brand, I was the worst at using colors other than like black and white or tan or like pretty much any of the if you know the brand Fear of God, like Jerry Lorenzo, like all those muted tones. That was pretty much like the image I was working out of. And then I realized like, oh, like I actually do want to have some bright colors in here. Very difficult to add color, at least for me, like add color to a design after I've gotten it all the way to the end. So now I'm trying to start with like a stronger foundation of colors. And so this is one thing I've been doing lately, sort of help me out, is to just have a color palette that's fun. I think I named this color palette Big League Chew because it reminds me of like that bubble gum. They're like, I call it like hyper primary. I don't think that that's actually a term, but it's what I've been calling it. So we're going to make a pattern and I'm going to delete this prompt. We're not going to style match, but I'm going to type in bold cloud. I'm going to generate a few patterns and it'll give us some variations. Again, I'm blown away that this works at all. And it's using Adobe Firefly. For those of you who don't know about the AI model that we're using, this was trained off of the stock images in Adobe Stock. The contributing artists were compensated for it, and if you want to become an Adobe Stock contributing artist, you can, or contributing artist to the AI, you can opt in or opt out. If you do opt in, I believe you're compensated for your work, which is awesome. Oh, I don't know what I just did there. Hold on. Let me select this tool. Ah, yes. Okay, so what's super cool about these patterns, it didn't use all the colors that I wanted, and that's totally okay. What I think is super cool about the patterns that it generates is that they're fully editable. So like you get all the anchor points, and I am just like gobsmacked by the fact that this works. So if I go over to recolor up here on the top, I can still do like the traditional recoloring where I have a color library and I go to color group. Here's my color palette, Big League Chew, and I can just shuffle. Let me move this out of the way so everybody can see it. I do this. I can do this for hours. Where I'm just like, oh yeah, like let's just shuffle through these bad boys. Um, but another thing that I've been doing is if I go over to generative recolor, we can also use AI to recolor the thing that we generated using AI. It's AI on top of AI, folks. So let's type in hyper primary, which is a term I completely made up, but it sounds like it's real. And I can go and I can actually select colors as well. So not only can I like give it a text prompt for a different color palette, I can kind of massage it or direct it a little bit to align a little bit more with my expectations. So let's say I want to have all these colors present in whatever it is it generates. I go generate. Let's see what it does. Give it a second here. But like if you like I love sneakers, and so I've been uploading like those Illustrator, it's like a outline. It's pretty much like color, like a coloring book version of a sneaker. So I can just like do different colorways in here using the AI prompts. Maybe that's my next live stream, but like I love seeing like what different what different colorways can do to tell a story or bring out a sneaker. And so I think that getting as many ideas as possible is always a great thing. Turns out that not all ideas are great. That's totally fine. This is not at all what I was hoping for. So we're just going to go back to recolor, and I'm going to use the color library like I mentioned before. Get my color group, Big League Chew. Sleepy House Phone. I don't remember naming anything that, but I guess I did. And I'm going to just kind of shuffle through. This reminds me of like Andy from Toy Story, like his wallpaper, if that rings a bell to anybody. Um, I'm going to do a couple more shuffles here. Oh, okay. Okay. So this is good. So we've got this. And again, these are completely editable anchor points. And so one thing I've been doing is like I've been giving a text prompt for like something like clouds or something like wispy, very ethereal. And then I've been going over to object and then path, and I've been smoothing this bad boy out to like make it way more abstract. You see how like now like, oh, okay, like this isn't at all what I started with. Yeah. And I'll give it a couple rounds of that because I'm just doing my thing. So we're going smooth. And I'll smooth it even more because why not? Yeah, boy. And now it's starting to look like a carpet from like a 1990s office. And I'll do like another effect where I'll warp it. Maybe I'll give it like a flag, and we'll 50% is kind of a lot. Let's do 25%. Yeah, we'll go okay, and then I'll simplify it. We're gonna simplify this bad boy by a bunch. Nice. And then I'll highlight all the anchor points again. Just kind of stretch it out. Dope. And then if I select, I use the direct selection tool. I get this big blue gobber, and then I delete it so I get a little bit more white. Nice. And I go, okay, we'll save a copy of this. We'll just call this live 2. We'll go, okay, awesome. And then we'll just hit done, and then even better. And now we've got this really cool sort of abstract pattern that we can apply anywhere. And this is the sort of stuff where it's like, okay, like maybe you don't like the results that are inherent to a like an AI prompt here in Illustrator. Totally fine, do your thing. But I like using it as like a launch point because I would have never gotten to the point where I had all these different shapes, like so random and just like ready to go and editable if I didn't use a prompt. So this is something that I'm a big fan of. And so now we've got like our little icon guy, we've got our cool pattern, and this is where branding gets even more fun. So if I go over to this like layout, so again, like Future Design Studio is the name of the brand that I'm hoping to start for a non-for-profit, where I have my artist friends help out aspiring artists launch their own e-commerce brand. I like this font that I used a while ago, but I don't remember what this font was called. So I'm actually going to go over to retype. And this is where no matter what your stance is on AI, you can find a use for this, where you use like the generative match font. So it retypes and I'll go, okay, this is the name of the font that you wanted, or the font that you used. That Frank Heavy is actually the name of the font. So I'm going to save it to my favorites and edit. If it lets me do it, we'll see if it does. Sometimes it doesn't. It lets you retype. It lets you retype it, people. If I edit text, yeah, let's go. All right, let me hit exit for retype, and it should, unless I'm crazy. This is the wildest thing. Yeah, so it went from being like a PNG of a font that we use the retype feature to identify, which in and of itself super useful. How many times have you been working with clients and we're like, oh, here's this thing that we're going to send you. It's created outlines, or we had like the outlines created, or it's just a PNG of a logo. We're not even going to humor the idea of telling you what the font is. Then you go to edit something, and you're like, oh, can you just like edit this or change the font or retype this somehow? And you're like, I don't even know what the font is called. I'm going to have to find something that looks like it. You spend hours just trying to find something that resembles vaguely the thing that the client sent you. No. Now we're going to use generative retype, which is so helpful. And not only can it identify the font, you can just go ahead and edit it, which is just a blessing. And so I want the Future Design Studio text that I have here to resemble this font. And we're going to do that in just a segundo. If I go down to properties, if it allows me, and it should have it in my favorites, Fat Frank Heavy, awesome. And I want it to stay the same color. So we're just going to do this. Will it allow me to do that? Hopefully it does. And then one little trick that I do for when I like having justify lines. So when I smush stuff, like if I change the bounding box, it will, one thing that I'll do, oh, pardon me, we'll make this, let's do reduce stroke. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to have it be the same red. We'll go over here and then what is this? We'll copy this little hex code here. I'm not going to use the eyedropper tool because I don't want it to change. So like if I have like text live in Illustrator, if I use the eyedropper tool, it will change not just like the font that I have to the text that I'm using the eyedropper tool to. It'll change all the different presets of like the paragraph settings, which I don't want to do right now. I'm sure that there's a way around that, but today we're just going to keep it moving and copy paste the color, and then the outline I think I had set as black, but let's just make sure. Let's go back over to here and go over to the stroke. Okay, yeah, so it wasn't quite black. It's good to know. We'll change it. Awesome. And then I think the stroke width was 2-ish. Great. And now, so if you see over here, I've got like my paragraph settings set to, or my line space to -200. The reason why I do that is when I go to smush the font, it'll let me overlap. Turns out I just changed the font name, which I didn't mean to do. Okay, so yeah, if we zoom in, let's zoom in. I want to have this overlapping font. So I'll use justify lines to allow me to smush any smush width I'd like to smush at. And part of the thing, or one of the settings that I keep so that I can do that, is I'll have the spacing set to -200 so I can have them overlap. And then to have the outlines not crop the wrong way, you can go to object, and then I think, or no, it's appearance. Yeah, if I go to the appearance window, which I don't think I have open because I'm not that responsible, let's go over to appearance. There should be an outline stroke setting, which allows me to have the outline on the outside of the letters and not on the inside, so you don't get this weird like cropping. If I hover over the font, it turns blue, so you can't see it, which is really helpful. But for now, we'll keep it as is. And then if I go over to effect, we'll do warp. I'm going to do a little bit of a wave, but I don't want it to bend horizontally. I want it to bend vertically. And we'll have it set to 23%. And then I want this set to 0. And then I want this set to 9. Nice. Okay, so we're on our way here with like a cool little wavy effect. I'm actually going to select this again and create outlines because I don't learn my lesson. Do I have this unselected? Then let's select it, people. Type. Create outlines. Nice. Okay, cool. So we've got that. And the reason why I wanted to do create outlines is so I'm going to go back over to path and I'm going to smooth. You're going to find that this is the theme of the day. But the reason why I want to smooth this is if I turn it up like just a little bit, you see how it starts to get a little bit more cartoony, get those nice little rounded edges. I'm sure that there's a font that more closely resembles this. But for now, this is going to be how I do. And then lastly, we're going to go over to 3D, and I'm going to exude, but I want this set to 13%. So yeah, you get this nice little, you get this little depth right there. Look at that. And then with this flower, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to extrude, and I'm going to go to front, just set everything to 0, put this to 13%. Nice. I'm going to zoom out for a second. so we can actually see what we're doing. Shout out to Swoop Nebula, who I purchased this vector pack from. Again, I'm all about using like different assets as like a launch point. Because for me, as like a designer, it's just super helpful to have something to like launch from. And now I'm going to apply that same pattern from before onto this flower. That I can do this while it's still technically like rendering a 3D shape, like it's applying that crazy pattern that we made to a 3D shape that is live and editable is pretty wild to me. So we're going to give it a second here because that can't be easy to do while I'm also live streaming on the same computer. Hopefully I didn't just break the whole thing. Oh no, did I change the stroke to that? Whoops. Look at us. All right, we're going to apply it to this. Boom. Look at us go. Look at us go. I'm going to make the stroke that same black. Yeah, we're gonna make this 2 points, maybe 3 or 4, because we're just wild like that. But now we're just using our AI prompt to do whatever we want. And then I'm gonna go back and get my little icon guy. We're gonna copy him, go back onto this artboard and paste. And look at us go. We're making a logo for our little brand. And we can massage this a little bit further, but just as like a launch point, using the text to vector and the text to pattern, those are all things that we can do. And eventually, like I want to put all this onto like a cool background. I've been playing around a lot with scenes. So if I go over to the rectangle tool, I make a rectangle. I did not mean for it to be patterned. I'm just gonna make this black for now, if it allows me. Do I still have the stroke selected? I do, and that's an issue. We're gonna make this black. Okay, cool. And I'm going to go over to my libraries because I have this cool anime image that I got from Adobe stock. Shout out to whomever designed this. And this will be the last thing that we do. I'm gonna have this here, the top of the artboard. And I'm going to move our other rectangle down and just shimmy this to a different size. And so one thing that you can do when you're doing the selecting style, you don't have to do just an image on the artboard. You can do the artboard itself. And so if I go over to this and I want to do not pattern, not subject, but scene, and then I do generate, we'll do complex, pick styles from a reference. We can do the actual image itself. We can match the whole artboard. I'm just going to do this image for now. Hopefully it will select, and it did. Cool. And we're going to have bulls running at sunset. And this has been a prompt I've been playing with a lot, and it's typically been super, super fun. So we'll see what it generates. And hopefully it uses this style as a reference like we asked it to. The times I've kind of run similar prompts have been pretty awesome. But the cool thing about AI is like you never really know what it's going to do until it does it. But this will be how we end up. Oh, look at this. This will be how we wind down the show for today. Yeah, look at this go. All right, I can't wait to select one of these. Okay, this is so dope. Yeah, if you're not a talented illustrator like myself, but you have cool ideas, this is an awesome place to kind of just get started. If I select this again, we have different options. But yeah, I like this. Okay, so now we have, this is like a cool little background. All this is editable and it's still using like the same color palette as this awesome anime work that I found on Adobe stock. So this is just like a really cool way to bring in the influences from outside that you find are dope and apply them to your own little your own style. Oh, my alarm is going, so that means it's time to wrap up. But just as like a way to get started, we went over using like the text to vector for different subjects, like having our own icon. We did it with our own pattern, and then we did it with like a background with the subject. There's so many options that you guys can use, and hopefully you guys got some ideas from this. And please tag me at Kesa_design on Instagram and anything you make. And I'm looking forward to see what you guys cook up. See you guys soon.